Welcome to Studio 33 AD, and we have a special person in studio. I guess it sounds like a lot of those kids shows, right, where everybody's special, like Woebegone. But we're fortunate today to have in studio Margaux. Margaux's here to tell us a little bit about her story, her conversion story. She converted and became Catholic. This was in 2019. And that's when we were in the middle of the whole COVID shutdown. So for her and her fellow folks that were in that RCIA program at the time, we had to press pause.
Delayed
we had
everything.
a few weeks. Easter came and went. We were not able to gather in the church together, but we came back strong. As soon as it was deemed safe, we returned. The bishop came to the cathedral, and we were able then to celebrate the sacraments of initiation. But first, let's have Margaux introduce herself and tell us first a little bit about what got her thinking to maybe want to consider becoming Catholic.
I guess my story kind of begins when I was 13, 14 years old. I had a Christian family right across the street that lived away from me, or across the street, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And they were Protestants, so they just kind of showed me, they brought me to church. I went with them, and I went to this Bible camp retreat, and that's first when I got introduced to Christ. But my family isn't religious. My mom is Buddhist. My dad grew up Catholic but is no longer practicing, so kind of was just not a religious household by any means. So after that, it just kind of went away. I didn't have any other exposure until about college. My last semester, I was fortunate enough to meet my husband, who is a cradle Catholic, born Catholic and stuff. So I met him the summer of 2019, and we had eloped a few months after we had met. And he said one
after
thing.
After the whirlwind romance. Okay. All right.
Well, he's in the military. It's quick.
Oh, there you go.
So
I got to go to war.
Yeah. Well, we were expecting for him to deploy. So, yeah, that's what happened. And right before I signed the papers, he said, "Hey, so I'm Catholic, and I really want our kids to be raised Catholic." So I said, "Oh, okay. You dropped this on me right before."
There's the paper signing.
I'm like, "Okay."
But you signed.
But I signed.
You were in.
I signed.
That's it. You were in.
The Holy Spirit was there in the little chapel in Vegas. So that Sunday after, we started going to Mass, and I had no idea what Catholic Mass was like by any means. And Father Margaux, after a really great sermon, he said, "I've never seen you guys before, and you look so young." And I said, "Oh, we're freshly married, you know." He's like, "Oh, in the church?" I said, "No, in a little chapel
in Vegas."
He said, "Are you Catholic?" And I said, "No, I'm not, but my husband is." So that's when he mentioned the RCA class to me, and he gave me your email, and I emailed you and started going to class.
No, hold on, just for clarity here.
Yeah, right.
In that conversation you had with Father Margaux, did he ever ask, "Do you want to become Catholic?"
No, he just kind of laid it
Perfect.
on me.
There you go.
He just said, "Hey, so we have
You
this."
see how we Catholics do this? We hit you with your husband, then we hit you with the priest. All right, there we go. Because you knew you were going to be here making this video. See, so now you got a great story. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he just laid it right on me. He said, "This is a great opportunity for you to learn and, you know, hopefully become part of the faith." So I said, of course, I'm open-minded to it, and especially if my future kids, well, my husband they're gonna be raised Catholic, I should know a little bit about it, at least.
There you go. Consistency.
So open-mindedness, not thinking, okay, I have to be a Catholic to be for my husband to accept me and to love me and all that stuff. So it was very much how do I say that? It's like I was just very open-minded to it. He wasn't going to penalize me for anything. So I said, I'm going to give this a shot. So
Okay, so then you started.
So we started.
You gave it a shot, and you started with RCIA program.
Right, met a bunch of great people. They all have their stories going in. Everyone is very unique, so they bring something in. When we were asked to say why we are choosing to be a part of this class, I said, well, my husband, we just got married and stuff, and we had eloped, and I want to get married in the Catholic Church. And that's some of the, a lot of people's reasons why they were joining the class. Their wives, their husbands were already Catholic, and so they were doing this for them, kind of, yeah. But I found a lot more, obviously.
Now, the RCIA process extended across several months.
Right.
So in that process, you kind of had an opportunity, well, just for the folks at home, she did have a choice, okay? That
right.
It wasn't just a husband or father, oh, you're going to become Catholic.
You have to be.
Do you recall, was there a particular moment in that process when you thought, yeah, I can do this? Was there a moment that comes to mind?
Yeah, as we were kind of going along, and we had you posted the readings, for Mass, because I was able to follow. Just going to Mass every Sunday and just learning, because I was just like a deer in the headlights, just wondering what was even going on at Mass, because everyone is in unison, saying everything, the Nicene Creed, and I was just trying to follow along at that point. So I always had like the booklet open, trying to figure out what's going on.
That's fine. You can use a cheat sheet.
Right. There was one moment. I think it was right before Christmas, or maybe after. There was a video that you had showed us at the end of class, talking about the Eucharist and what it really means, because I'd never understood what it meant to consecrate something. I read about it. My husband let me borrow his catechism, so it was very, very detailed, very like black and white, that book. Cut and dry, and I just never really understood, because I'm a very visual person, so it kind of came full circle for me what it really meant when you showed me that video.
Yeah, it's Christ, I think it's a very effective video. I mean, there's several, but the whole point, like you were saying, is to get us to kind of get out of our box.
Right. And
to try to conceive of something outside of ourselves. And that, I think, video aims to do that. Because for the Catholics, unlike some Christians, they hold the Eucharist just to be something symbolic.
Right, like, because I would go to church when I was like 13 and 14. We never received the host or drank from the cup, it was just something that we talked about, but nothing that was practiced by any means, and from that video, to receive the body and blood of Christ, you have to be clean, you have to go to confession, and that's what a good practicing Catholic does, is to go and...
Boy, you had great training in that RCIA. Oh, yeah.
But
you're correct.
Right. I mean, to enter the kingdom of heaven, entering is very narrow, but you said something. Entering into the kingdom of heaven, the road is narrow, but to just and it's a very hard life. It's a very hard road to go.
Yes, the lives of the saints.
Right.
It's a tough path.
Right.
Yeah, it's not an easy road, but it can be done.
But otherwise,
they showed us that.
Right, and when you're just based off of individual choices, for yourself, then the road is much wider and.
Yeah, and the conversations we had that revolved around now, in our society, this has now become almost countercultural.
Right.
Because Christian Catholicism, we ask you to die to yourself, right? Where our culture says it's all about you.
Right.
Right? Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
But paradoxically, you don't find joy that way.
Right.
It's when you die to yourself in that narrow path that you were saying that opened up.
Right, and during the hard times and the good times, like, God will never change, He'll always be there, and you cannot rely on yourself to get through those hard times, because I had the biggest challenge just this last year, having my daughter.
Yeah, it's a whole other level.
Just a whole other level, you know. We'll get to that, right? Yeah. So that video was in itself extremely powerful for me, because you just saw Christ hovering over as the priest is consecrating everything, and you know, when he brings the bread up to, you know, to show everyone stuff, like Christ was just right there. And
yes, in the video there's a central character who's unannounced, not introduced,
right,
but who begins to see these things.
Right.
Above the altar, as angels process
right.
forward during the consecration.
Right, yes. Right, and everyone, like an elderly woman, a young family with a child, you know, and just a lot of different perspective within that. So, and this is a little graphic, but as the blood was dripping down from Christ, from his head, and was
the crown of thorns,
and dropped into the cup, you know, that's what that symbolizes. So I just thought that was just extremely powerful for me, because I'm a very visual person. So.
Oh, that's good.
It was great, you know.
You got to make sure to keep that in rotation.
Well, every time I go to Mass, I think of that moment, really. So when I went
like
to
you
Mass,
said, everyone has a different story,
right.
And there's a different moment or two where you say to yourself, yes, I want to do this.
Right.
I want to go forward and become a Catholic.
Right.
Because you said you were kind of nibbling around with some Protestant friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Then your husband introduced you
right.
to some elements of Catholicism.
Right.
And then Father Marius just opened the door for you. There we go.
Right.
Now, you had unlike some other folks, we had that bad year with COVID and the shutdowns.
Right.
When it finally came time, when we could arrange it for all of us to gather and to celebrate these sacraments, we were talking earlier, you clicked off quite a few. What were these sacraments that...
Right. April 30th of 2020, Father Marius married us that day.
Yeah,
so
your marriage was convalidated.
So
you went from Vegas to the Vatican.
Right. It's concrete now.
That's right.
You know? So I had gone in, did my first confession, had 3 papers, because it was 24 years of sin, so I had to think of everything. So my mother-in-law, she was actually a very good mentor for me during this time. She gave me like a checklist of all the different commandments and questions that follow under that. So I answered every single one, pretty much, and went to Father Marius and confessed all the things that I've done in my life.
What expression did he have on his face when you pulled out the 3 pages?
Well, he said, "You're very committed," because I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I had the rosary in my hand.
Great, but you took it seriously.
Yeah, and you just see in big font, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been 24 years since I've confessed." Or this is my first confession. I think that's
first confession.
Right, my first confession. And he said, "You're very committed." And it wasn't like I was here and he was behind like something like this. We were looking at each other face to face, so it was even more dramatic for me. And sweating a little bit, you know, but he said there's nothing to be nervous about, and you know, he's like, after this, you know, it's gonna be one of the most joyous times of your life. I'm about to marry you and your husband, so and Andrew, so so right, we did a confession,
sacrament of penance,
right, penance, and then I got confirmed that day, confirmed, and Eucharist, received the Holy Host, and then got married.
And then
so
your marriage was convalidated.
Right, 4 in one day.
Yeah. You're holding off on anointing of the sick. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll use that later. Yeah.
Much later.
There we go.
Yeah, there's only 7 ever you can do in life, right? So baptism is one of them.
Some sacraments are ideally it's just once. Baptism, for example, would be just once. But the Eucharist,
it's recurring, and same with penance.
Same with penance, anointing of the sick.
Okay.
Yeah. So some are confirmations, and another one that's the expectation is that's once.
And same with marriage, it's just once.
That's the ideal, yes.
Idea, yeah.
That we all that
Well,
we strive
I
for.
hold true for that. So
Good.
I will, I can't imagine a life without him. He's shown me so much. So
Yeah, this is
he's
great.
great.
On that note,
Yes.
is there something that you can tell the folks at home that might encourage them to maybe consider becoming Catholic for the first time? Or once again, you'd mentioned cradle Catholics,
Right.
folks who are born Catholic, but sometimes we become disconnected
Right.
from our faith.
Yeah. I know Andrew. He's told me he steered away. He steered away for a few years from the faith. He is in the Air Force. He is a staff sergeant, and he really got back in touch with Christ and really Mother Mary when he was deployed in Afghanistan. He went to the chapel every day and just prayed the Hail Marys. All that, it just kept him safe, made him feel really safe. So, I want to say it's never too late, but you just never know when tomorrow is gonna end. So that's one thing I've thought of a lot is if I steered away, you just never know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Something could happen, and I never want to be disconnected from Christ. I want to see him. I want to see my Creator at the end of my life, and when he knows when my time is up, I'll be able to go and see him and
Good, and you
be
found
in the
this
kingdom
comfort
of heaven.
now.
Right, because if we don't go and be a practicing Catholic every day, then for me, what's a life worth living? So it's never too late, because I've heard some extremely amazing conversion stories where people have just waited. Like my sponsor, Mary, for instance, she said that she walked away from the faith for 10 years and then came back. She said, what was I doing for 10 years? Imagine if something had happened to me, and you wouldn't be able to enter the kingdom of heaven. So, and that's for me what life is. That's what God put us on this earth to do, is to be a part of that. So, I mean, it's very deep for me.
You have found
and,
the purpose of this life.
Right.
Yes.
And for me, it's becoming a mom, being a good wife to my husband, and just sharing my life with others too.
Great.
So.
Yet another success story. Listen to this. Margaux, we want to thank you for coming in and sharing your story here with us in Studio 33 AD. Wish you well now, because now, you already had those big 4 sacraments all at once.
Right.
You're going to need all that special grace now that you're a new mother.
Mom, yeah. So my daughter, her name is Mary. She's 6 weeks old, and at 3 weeks she was baptized here at the cathedral. So it was beautiful, and I'm really happy to have seen that moment.
That's marvelous.
Didn't want to wait.
Great. We pray for you and your husband and your new daughter.
Thank you
And
so
thank
much.
you for the gifts that you brought to us here
No, thank
at
you.
St. John's Cathedral.
Thank you so much.
Likewise.